Hey there, my name is Przemek, and this is the review of Before and After Silence, the album by Nimh. Before and After Silence is the second part of the early electronic works series by the Italian project, and it's the second part after Caustic Composite, published by Zoharum Records last year, I think. This one is, of course, also released by Zoharum Records. And in the series, Giuseppe Verticchio gives us an insight into his early musical archives. And thanks to this series, we can observe how musicians' sensitivity has developed over the years and what kind of path led to the first albums that were released in the early 2000s. I suspect there are still much more recordings hidden in Giuseppe's attic or cellar on some kind of old media, so I assume this early electronic works series will have at least a few more parts. Here's what how the release, the physical album looks like. Black and white with old photos showing musician at work. We also see the pieces of his equipment, as you can see, and I would say it looks like it was already vintage, even though 30 years ago. Although I may be wrong, I'm not an expert in this subject. Anyway. The text here on inside says that all tracks were originally played and recorded live by Giuseppe Verticchio in the 1990s without editing, overdubbing or mixing. Some tracks were slightly re-edited in 2023 to correct some recording defects present in the original tapes. And just like Caustic Composite, this music made using analog synthesizers, and the album itself sounds quite raw, but also clinical at the same time, kind of standing at the intersection of ambient and old school industrial. It seems like as if Giuseppe was both drawing inspiration in his early works from old Italian masters, such as Italian industrial masters, of course, such as Maurizio Bianchi, with whom he later collaborated with a great effect, or Mauthausen Orchestra, maybe. And at the same time, he was already looking his own personal vision of music that was more spacious and atmospheric. And those two influences contradict each other? Well, no. It all sounds really cool. Giuseppe Verticchio often builds massive walls of sound here, but not necessarily with noise or harsh noise undertones. It is drone based. Those drones are tight and dense, but at the same time multi-layered and super addictive. Listen to part 5. The tracks don't have titles. They are just part 1 to 8, and check part 5 to see what I mean. In general, this is music putting a listener into a certain state of trance, although it should be listened to loudly. It seems to be a good tool for meditation and calming down. Yeah, the music itself is loud, but at some point the sound makes you feel less stressed, and kind of you stop being nervous when you listen to this one. And before and after silent, for me it's like a sound of waterfall, or at least it affects me in a similar way, like as the sound of waterfall. The music of these early Italian industrial classics I mentioned was often shocking and nerve-wracking, not only with its controversial concepts, but also with harsh and often severe music itself. And on the Nimh regular albums, the ones that started coming out in the 2000s or 2010, the previous decade, we had various approaches to music, but most of the time it was ambient based, more or less atmospheric, sometimes more dark, sometimes more light. And on this album we have kind of a cross between these two influences, probably leaning more towards this noisier side, but still with the noticeable references to what Giuseppe Verticchio was creating later. I think I like this part more than Caustic Composite, the previous part of the early Electronic Works series, as the compositions themselves sound, at least to me, more complete and less like some kind of sketches or drafts. And in general they are closer to my personal taste in music. And yeah, it will be interesting to observe how it all later developed in Nimh music. And of course I hope that Zoharum will continue to release further parts of early electronic works by Nimh. Okay, it's a short review, kind of. I have to say I miss those short reviews after this top 50 dark deep ambient albums series, where each video had more or less half an hour. Yeah, okay. Nimh, Before and After Silence. I think I can recommend it to you. I forgot the word. Recommend it to you. Thanks for watching and see you soon.